the ultimate can't fuck with it. The ultimate.
This is Constant Elevation, the show for rising military and community leaders that isn't waiting for the future, we are defining the future. I'm your host, Gabriel Bracavilla, and you already know, can't stop, won't stop.
The ultimate.
3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? You are watching to the Constant Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Bracavilla. Thank you for joining me in the middle of October. It is getting a little bit cooler here in Maryland. When I walk Sally, or I make Benjamin walk Sally, it's nice when I'm coaching my 6 a.m. classes in the morning. We can open the garage doors. It's very nice. Sally, hey, calm down. Ooh. Again, one take Jake. I don't edit shit. My dog is yelling at somebody. I'm assuming everybody's fine because I need to move on, and I would have very excited about this week's episode because I have 2 super friends that are joining me today. So where I currently coach at Revival Fitness, we just recently started an intern program. And so some brave souls raised their hand as far as what they'd like to do and join some of the leadership ranks. And I actually call that, if you're going to be a coach if you're going to be a coach actively coaching at Revival Fitness, you're going to take in a leadership role in your community because you give a shit. You actually am interested in shaping other people's fitness journey. And I think that's a very, very particular role that not everybody can do. But I think the 2 people that I invited tonight could actually be they're on their, bless their hearts, they're in their beginning path. I remember when I was on this path like 10 something years ago. Don't worry about how long I've been coaching. I'm excited. So I want to welcome to the show Kaylan Swartz. She's one of these super interns. Kaylan, welcome to the Constant Elevation.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. And then the second super intern is Michael Klepfer. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes. So Kaylan she's one of the, how many interns are there of you guys? Do you guys know?
I think there's about 9 now. There are a couple of people, it was like too much going on. So
yeah. I think it depended on when Coach Kyle introduced the concept out there. It's like, so we want interns, raise your hand. And then it's like, well, how much time or commitment are we talking about? We're entering into week 4 or 5, one of those 2. And we have weekly meetings and we have all these things that the intern program is really, really good. But Kaylan, tell me a little bit about your background as far as your fitness background, either, back your back in history or your current stuff as you've been involved with since Revival.
Yeah, so I've been sort of involved in team sports, and that's normal. That's where I have my background in. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I played Division I lacrosse in college. And then as I kind of came out of college, I played a little bit of post-collegiate, just sort of rec, pickup lacrosse. Then I actually moved overseas for 3 years to run a lacrosse program at a boarding school in the UK. So I have the playing and the coaching of that particular sport. But when I came back, I jumped into another full-time job and I just couldn't coach anymore because I just didn't have the time, and I couldn't play the amount of rec league lacrosse that I wanted to play anymore, partially because the girls were also getting younger that were post-collegiate, and I was post-collegiate, so they were a lot faster than me.
Post-collegiate, that's hilarious.
So I was just sort of looking for something to fill my time and to kind of scratch that itch of being competitive, staying healthy, staying fit. And I had joined a UFC gym near my house, and I liked it because it was a small gym. It had that communal feel. It wasn't just sort of like the nameless, faceless, other sort of chain gyms or anything like that. And then when that closed, one of the coaches at UFC was actually a coach at Revival.
Shout out to Emma. Yep.
Yeah, she brought like 4 or 5 of us over to Revival. And that's where I've been since the beginning of 2018. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I understand there are some transplants that Coach Anna has brought over, and y'all have a good history. It's kind of fun when I'm like, oh, I didn't really realize you were part of that crew as well. And but they're definitely welcome additions to the Revival fitness community. So Klep, tell me a little bit about your background.
It's like the exact opposite of Kaylan's. Like, I didn't do anything.
Okay. I was a coach of nothing. That's what I was coaching.
Yeah. I played video games for a while, and then didn't do too well in my first couple semesters of college, and realized, hey, I might not be ready for this yet. So I did what every responsible human being would do, and I joined the military. Being like someone who like didn't exercise ever or do any sports, that one was really a misstep on me.
And you didn't join the chair force either. You joined
the Marine Corps.
Oh,
and
okay,
so
okay.
I spent like the next 5 years like trying to improve PT scores, like with no idea of like how to do fitness at all. And the person that is in charge of you is literally the guy who just joined 10 minutes before you. So his level of fitness is, you know, a roll of the dice too.
Well, he reads Men's Health. What are you talking about?
So I managed to stay in relatively decent shape, and then I got out and I was like, not for working out again. And then I stepped on the scale and I was like, hey, I probably should work out again. And eventually I got enough nods from the wife. She actually was a member at Revival before I was, as I was like, I'm not doing that CrossFit thing. And she just nudged me enough, and then she said those fateful words, you know they've got a weight loss challenge going on right now. And I was like, oh, all right. And so he got me to sign up, and then I just got hooked on the process.
Awesome.
Changed goals.
When was that around? Like around 2019 as well?
Yeah, it was the beginning of 2019.
Okay, cool. Yeah, both you guys were in the gym before. So I got there the late summer of 2019, but then for the majority, as I started my new job when we moved here, and then I started my new job at Fort Meade. I was mainly a morning athlete, and then my work shifts kind of scheduled, and then I'm like, oh, I can be an afternoon athlete sometimes. And so your faces were very, very familiar, but it was just as a regular athlete at some point in time. And then towards the end of 2019 is when I got hired on as a coach. And when I don't think you guys know that. You guys may or may not know these stories. And so my background is I started doing fitness kind of stuff. So I didn't do anything in high school. I had a good high school year. I had some good high school years. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I joined Air Force ROTC. That's where I needed to work out because that's what they required us to work out. And so fast forward doing the Air Force kind of stuff. And then I started becoming in charge of in the Air Force, we call them physical training leaders, PTLs. And so somebody has to lead PT. Who better than a unqualified lieutenant? Of course, yes, throw us in the front of people where I read Men's Health and I can also lead workouts. Fast forward a little bit, I deployed to Afghanistan in 2009, 2010, and that's where I discover CrossFit, and all of a sudden that sparks my interest. So I did I was an endurance sort of athlete at that point in time, and then I started learning how the CrossFit methodology, and then really getting into it like most of us do. You just kind of get obsessed with the whole thing. I'm like, I think I want to be a coach. And so at that point in time, in 2010, I took my level 1 and I started kind of figuring out ways where I can actually get some experience of being a coach. Luckily, in my path, I've actually opened and ran 2 military affiliates. So I've been the head coach doing programming and or affiliate management for a total of 4 years. Bodie and I did it together as we were stationed in Alaska together. Shout out to Bodie. And so I just continued doing the coaching stuff. And when I got to, at the time, Crofton CrossFit in 2019, I was like, hey, so I just moved to the area, and I'm like, hey, so can I just guys join your gym, but can I skip on-ramp? I'm a level 2, so I don't need to do that. And then it's like, yeah, so we're not hiring anybody now. I'm like, wait, whoa, I didn't ask for a job. I just want to join the gym. That's about it. Joined the gym, found out the normal 6 a.m. crew, met some of you guys in the afternoon, and really fell in love with the community. And then luckily got hired on as a coach. And then Kyle, Taylor, and Dave were not smart enough to hire me on as a coach. And I remain there as a coach right now. And so that idea of wanting to, and now we fast forward even more, like we have this intern program. You guys are jumping on board, and you're kind of, my heart grows like 5 times like the Grinch when I hear you guys' pitter patter of the urgency and the desire for you guys want to become coaches. And your first step is going to be the intern program, which is a really nice, it's a known community that we're in here. We've been around each other for a long enough time. And so I'll start off with you, Kaylan. So what made you get interested in why did you, in addition to just being a general athlete yourself, what made you want to get interested in joining the intern program?
I miss coaching. I mean, that was the big thing. I coached high school age girls in lacrosse for years. My dad and I did it for a while in a club. My dad still does it, despite the fact that my sister and I haven't played for years. And we would basically take on a club team at like the sixth, seventh grade level and stay with them and help them through the recruiting process and stuff into their senior year. So when I stopped doing that, I miss sort of watching people progress. I miss that sort of being invested in people's success in sports. And so that's sort of why I want to do it. Because like I noticed as like just an athlete at the gym, like when somebody would hit a PR or you see like a new member or something that didn't have a great range of motion or something like that, do like a full squat, you're like, yes, this is it. Like, that's awesome. And so I sort of wanted to be like, how can I get in on this? Like, how can I help these people? How can I be even more invested in the success of the people around me? And so that's sort of why I wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's a kind of like a shared, I want to say it's like half and half. It's going to be half and half of I want to become a better athlete. Who doesn't want to become a better athlete? But then also those sparks. And this is where the difference between someone who is just comfortable being an athlete and someone who really is interested in becoming a coach, where you start to be like, I want to understand how I can help somebody else. And that's not necessarily at the expense of my own journey. Just the idea of, because you've had a background in coaching and you see the benefits of kind of grooming and tailoring the right kind of the right personalities, or even the wrong personalities, to kind of make them rise to their full potential. That's a thing you want to contribute to, and it's not necessarily for the faint of heart, but it's definitely something that only the right kind of people truly should be raising their hand for, in my opinion. Mike, tell me what 6th and 7th graders you were. I'm just kidding. What made you interested in joining the intern program?
So it kind of goes back to like being in the Marine Corps, where like working out was something you had to do. It was never really framed as like something fun. It was punishment, or just like something that if you didn't do, you were lazy, and it was always pushed off as a chore. And then I got out, and I had years where I was trying to get fit and just struggling, and I'm trying to do it my way, doing the research, nerding out, but not finding anything that works. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally got here, I realized like, oh, I actually enjoy doing this. Fitness should be fun. And not only should it be fun, like it can be fun and it can be hard at the same time. And it's a mixture of community, like programming, nutrition, all of this stuff together. And we kind of bounce ideas off of each other and support each other. And that makes you want to come back the next day. And I saw that as the solution. And I was like, I want to be part of that solution. I don't want people to not want to be here. And before I even decided that I wanted to be a coach, I proactively would talk to new people when I would see them. I would try, because as outgoing as I can be, I tend to be more introverted when it is like people I don't know. And sure. I would push myself out of that shell, because I was like, these people are the ones that need it the most, actually. If I come up to my friend and give them a high five, that's not really changing their day, but someone who might not feel comfortable there, it might be what makes them come back.
Yeah.
And as I've learned more things about form and programming in general, I've wanted to share those ideas, but I also felt uncomfortable just giving that unsolicited advice.
Sure. Yeah. And that's definitely like I'm glad that both of you, we've had separate conversations, but you guys have shared the same sort of thought processes with me, where you're like, hey, so I'm interested in being an intern, yet I feel like there's so much in front of me that I don't know. I don't want to get to an imposter syndrome. We're like, I don't really know if I'm supposed to be here. If someone calls me on something, am I going to know how to respond to those kind of things? Like, those are natural, and I'd imagine just human kind of tendencies. But I'd rather work with, in my opinion, I think that kind of intern, that kind of emerging leader, that's the kind of like raw material I want to work with. If we had like a fucking so smug person be like, I know I'm going to be a great coach. Like, bitch, you don't know shit. Like, hold on, calm the fuck down. The idea. And so you guys are definitely starting, and I think not even just you two, everybody so far in the intern program, you guys are coming from that humble perspective of like, I'm here to soak in stuff. I'm going to ask all these questions, and we've created, or I'll say Kyle has created an environment where like you can ask those questions without fear of reprisal. You're literally trying to understand how these things and the nuances that us more experienced coaches, because we've made those same mistakes. I've made those same mistakes. So when you hear me, you ask me questions, I'm able to give you more or less a response in a very fast fashion. It's probably because I fucked it up like 4 times before that. And I had to learn, be like, oh, I should not be doing that. Okay, cool. And so me as a unofficial like helper in Kyle's intern program, that's what I feel my role is. My role is to try and pass on as much knowledge as I can to you guys, because you guys have a lot more runway in front of you. And I know the passion that I had when I first started my own fitness journey, being a coach. I see that in you two, and I see that in all the interns. And so I want to help kind of capitalize on that energy and momentum and start feeding you guys with not necessarily all the answers, just my experiences that I've seen. So hopefully you can either make the same mistakes or not. But, you know, for Kaylan, for you, you know, your background is competitive sports and coaching. And so you already understand the responsibility of, you see talent out there, and I want to make sure that talent rises to where it needs to be. And then Mike, you and I have a shared military experience. So like where we understand those kind of things there's some stuff, you know, the right people who can become leaders. And I need to push those people out of their comfort zone. And we have to tailor some of our conversations with them to make sure that they understand that this is a safe space and we can help each other out. And I think you guys being interns in the gym are going to be even that much stronger to help the community be like, oh no, we're promoting from within. Like you guys are, like I said earlier, you guys are known faces, known commodities within the gym. And so why wouldn't we want to grow you guys as well, just to make the Revival community even stronger? So yeah, Kaylan, what were some of your reservations? Did you have any reservations when you started joining, when you raised your hand and wanted to become an intern?
I think the biggest thing is, you know, something that you said about just sort of imposter syndrome. You know, I think because the cadre of coaches that we have currently have quite a bit of experience, you know, coming in as a new person and, you know, standing up in front of a class and leading a warm up or something as an intern, people kind of look at me and go, what do they know? And, you know, I get a little bit of that as well, sort of as a woman too, you know, trying to stand up in front of people and like really like lay down the law and try and be, you know, direct and try and be helpful, and try and get people to understand that I'm coming from a place of expertise or from a place of, you know, learning versus, you know, just standing up there and kind of bullshitting, basically.
Facilitating. Right.
Yeah. So I think that that's been my biggest struggle for sure.
Okay. So you have some advantages that we already have, as far as, I didn't think about the whole like being a female, because I'm not one, and so I didn't think about that. But when you bring it up, I'm like, actually, yeah, that can definitely one of those in a very physical sort of environment, as far as those kind of things happening, that could be a little bit more of intimidating, of like, how do I overcome some of those things to make sure that people respect me as in a certain position of, you want to call it authority, but just position of responsibility. I think that's a better phrase. Luckily, we have really fucking badass coaches and athletes like Coach Mary, like Coach Sarah, like Coach Taylor, like Coach Anna. Like all of our female coaching staff are really good examples of why I think a part of our core community continues to hang around, because we have really good community examples of what can be good. The other balance is everybody's approachable, everybody's normal, nobody's bigger than life, nobody's like crazy. And there's nothing wrong if you're, you know, a larger personality within the CrossFit community, but they're normal people. Like Mary's a firefighter and Sarah works at a vet clinic thing. It's like, no, they have regular jobs and we're dealing with all the same things that we do in regular life, but we're all here trying to become better people. And I think that level of humility helps add to some of the authenticity of where the interns need to remember that. Y'all need to remember that, like, y'all are just regular people like everybody else. You're not better than anybody. You're taking an active role and raising your hand and stepping up to come lead into a leadership role. Klep, what did you have? Did you have any reservations as you're coming in, raising your hand for the intern program?
Yeah. The main one was that, like, I like to joke around and I wasn't sure if anyone was going to take me seriously. I mean, I'm literally the guy that runs like a meme page about CrossFit. So like, I'm constantly making jokes about skipping warmups and doing stuff that like that I shouldn't be joking about, I guess, now that I'm going to be running warmups, right? So it's just
it's sort of important. Yeah. How about we stop making fun of the stuff we should be doing? But yes.
But yeah, so it was, how seriously will I be taken? And then also kind of funny that Kaylan's was, you know, will I be taken seriously as a female? Mine was, will people just think I'm mansplaining if I'm like trying to give somebody a tip?
Okay.
So it's like almost the same thing, just flopped. Other than that, it was just, will I be able to do the job, like keep people safe and actually identify errors in form? Like that's not something to be taken lightly, and that part is something that I had reservations about for sure.
Yep. It's definitely one of those. So us three, you can understand if I started saying like, hey, so like wall balls. Okay. You first get introduced to the wall balls, like what the okay. I understand sort of the concept of what's happening here. And then through multiple reps though, you're going to be like, oh, okay. I learn a little bit more intricacies and I know what are good things. And then the fact that you have just more experiences, both of you can end up becoming like, you're able to speak to it, right? And so when wall balls come up and then you started to see, and at a Klep, I've seen you do this before, where like you've done this stuff before and you notice there's somebody relatively new, or you maybe somebody who's not new, but somebody is kind of saying something out loud, like, I don't really know how to do this. You don't hesitate. You just start talking, like, hey, here's some stuff you kind of want to talk about. And so like, and part of it is like, I fucked this up during this one time. So maybe you don't bust out and try and do 40 at one time. That's not a good strategy. So maybe we talk about these things. We talk about form and all kind of things. And so that was another thing that I noticed. I'm like, yeah, you are at least present enough in yourself to be like, you have an urgency where you want to share your knowledge. It may not necessarily be the perfect knowledge, and neither you nor Kaylan subscribe to have the perfect knowledge. None of us do, but we have experience, and that's the kind of experience and give a shit. That's what I'll say. Both of you guys' give a shit factor. As long as all the interns just generally give a shit and continues to give a shit, you guys are going to be successful coaches, because that's what we need. We need coaches out there that are cognizant of their responsibility in a certain position, because it's going to be you leading between 5 and like 18, 19 people. And like, it's a business. You're representing Kyle, Taylor, and Dave. Like, hey, so what are we doing here? Are we just a shit show? We're just going to be able to, anybody can read stuff off the internet and just do a workout, but like, that's not the experience that you guys want to have as an athlete, nor you want to have other people experience as a coach. And so that degree of just giving a shit, that's the kind of stuff that I really believe you guys have the seeds in there. And through time, you guys are going to end up becoming just stronger coaches due to experience as making mistakes, because that's okay. That's where hopefully nobody's getting injured. I'm very confident none of you guys are going to injure anybody. But the idea of you're learning along the way, and there's no other way to do it. You can't, who's going to want to learn in some isolated box over here and you show up, you're like, I'm the greatest coach ever. Bitch, no, you're not. That's not, you haven't taught humans before. And so those are the kind of things I think I would offer to you guys as the interns coming up. Just maintain that mindset. You guys, you can't fail, because it's all growth stuff. You don't win or lose, you win or learn. You know what I'm saying? So, Kaylan, so what do you feel are the strengths? We always end certain conversations on positive stuff. What do you feel like your strengths are coming into your intern experience?
I think mostly that I'm extroverted. I think another thing, and this is something we talked about with Kyle, that I felt like I was already pretty proficient at, which is giving people very direct, very specific cues on how to do things. It's not do this, put this there, like move that this way. It's very much like, okay, widen your grip, or make sure you're squatting below parallel, or make sure you're putting your dipping straight down when you're getting ready to do the jerk or something like that. Being very direct, because sports coaching has to be the same way. Like in the heat of the moment, like in a game, you can't be shouting, go there, and everyone's going to be looking at you like, where's there? So I think that is something that I came into understanding, that people need very specific direction on things, because clarity is especially if people are starting to lift heavier, or they're in the heat of the moment during a Metcon and you don't want them to get injured. You have to be direct, because they have to be able to react to it quickly, rather than being like, wait, what? Do this? What's this? Or where's there? Something like that. So I think that's probably, going into this, one of my bigger strengths, I think, just from having a sports background.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think your credibility comes from experience, right? And I think that's one of those unique things in CrossFit in our community, is like, if you're an outsider, you haven't done CrossFit, like, if you can start talking about it, I don't really know how much I'm going to necessarily value your inputs. You've done several, you've had your own journey coming from the UFC gym. You've had your own journey being a mom, coming back as a mom, and those kind of things. Those are things that me and Klep, spoiler, we have no idea how to speak to. And so I think that adds to your unique kind of perspective of being a really valuable coach that Klep and I can't actually offer to anybody, because we don't have those experiences. And so that idea of, when you start talking about the language and understanding the jargon and kind of stuff that we focus on. So like, I may or may not actually try and figure this out. Maybe I ask you to coach me how to become a lacrosser. I don't know what the word is.
Lacrosse player.
Lacrosse player. I will fuck it up. I will probably not know what I'm doing. But the idea is you're going to be in that natural kind of coaching stance. And I do believe you're going to get to that point, as far as your passion, as far as wanting to be a good and great CrossFit coach is going to come through time. Nobody's saying this is going to happen overnight, but that your give a shit factor is there. And so I definitely believe that's some of the strengths that you bring in, because you have some of that background already from team sports. And I think this, as a community sport within Revival Fitness, it just become that much more of a valuable asset to the team. Klep, what do you think are some of your strengths you coming into the intern program?
I think one of them is that I'm always investing in my own knowledge when it comes to fitness. Like, it's just one of those topics that I clung on to, and I'm going down, YouTube rabbit holes and articles and trying to find like good information out there. And it's something that's natural. It doesn't feel like homework. And I have never like really found that with other topics before. So I think there's that. There's, I'm really approachable. I've already noticed that there have been several members of the gym that, even though I'm supposed to be shadowing it off in the corner, that they'll come to me and just naturally and just start asking me these questions. And I think the last one is probably, I'm just trying to make it fun. And I'm a positive person, and I don't see this as like a zero-sum game, right? Like we succeed if the gym, if our success is the gym success, and vice versa. And I haven't noticed this like in Revival at all, but there's always that like, oh, it's January 1st, and now there's gonna be more people here, and I'm not gonna have room for this, and I'm not gonna have room for that. And I always thought that was a crazy like mindset, because the more people that come through these doors, the more the gym succeeds, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can see that when you're walking around and you see new faces. You might get more relationships out of it, and the gym gets more money, which means new equipment. And it's just feeding into that mindset, or that growth mindset, is something that I'm willing to do, I want to do, and I think I can help facilitate that for when there are, the one or two Debbie Downers that we have in the gym, which I can't even think of any right now, but
I don't think we have that.
They're always bound to walk in, right?
Sure. Of course, that's just that law of numbers. So I think there is a what I thought of was like, if I thought of our coaching staff or just the community we have here, I thought about it like Avengers. It's like we have all these different unique, it's squad game, squad kind of people. All of us bring our unique kind of thing. We can't have, not everybody can be the Hulk, not everybody being Captain America. We all bring our unique kind of things. And that sounds kind of nice as far as like the team aspect of if you're going to have a coaching staff. I think maybe even better. I think there's one of those kind of like Guardians of the Galaxies kind of stuff. Like, no, we're not trying to be like all crazy, like perfect. We're just kind of us. And I personally believe that's part of the strength that we have at Revival Fitness. And both of you end up becoming and providing some of those, even just as interns and just as personalities within the gym, but now as interns and growing into a developing leadership role. So Kaylan, you're a strong, like, team history based, but like, you know, your shit and you give a shit kind of stuff kind of coach. And I think that adds, especially in the demographic of where in what Revival Fitness, having a strong female coach like that immediately will bring in people. This is kind of a thing. And I already know, business wise, I know that's going to be a strong thing. And so that becomes your addition to the team. Mike, your idea of like a little bit more approachable to where like you're kind of in the background, but like when the opportunity presents itself, you jump at those things too. You talk to people and be like, hey, here's some stuff you want to talk about. And then through kind of indirect kind of conversations, people just kind of start asking you versus you asking them or giving them guidance. And so both of those things are amazing ingredients that I think are naturally embedded in you. And so I'm going to offer these to both you guys as some mentorship points. This podcast is built on being leaders. And so I say it's the show for rising military community leaders. This is on more on the community side. You both have these seeds in there. And I want to really, I'll do my best to try and support you guys to become better interns and better coaches. And we're going to have good times. We're going to have bad times. It doesn't matter. The idea is we're really we're putting our hearts and our full efforts in this idea because we give a shit. Those are the kind of things that I think if I have one quick thing, like, are you intern? Why are you an intern? Because I give a shit. You're fucking hired. That's what I think it should be it. And so I'm very, very happy and proud to kind of help you guys as much as I can within the larger intern program, because I do see you guys being either current and or future leaders as we continue to grow your own CrossFit fitness journeys wherever we happen to be. I know I say that because just inherently as an airman, I know I'm going to be gone in like 1 or 2 years. And so hopefully down the road, we'll stay in contact with each other and I can hear more about you guys being awesome coaches and all that kind of jazz, because I can see that in your future. And I'm very proud to be part of that journey. So I know we're recording this on Thursday evening, so I want to respect you guys' time. So Kaylan, I'll pass it back to you. Any final thoughts as far as like intern things, leadership things you're looking forward to, what you're not necessarily afraid of, but like where you want to go in your journey to be a coach?
So one thing, I talked about this with Sarah, who's another coach, because she's taking a pregnancy and postpartum coaching certification. And I talked to Kyle about this because I would really like to do that. And I think it brings more people into the fold. I think one of the things that I think we all aim to do and all the coaches aim to do at Revival is sort of disabuse people of that like fire breathing, like meathead mentality that a lot of people think about when they think about CrossFit. And I would love to be able to bring a little bit of that sort of pregnancy, postpartum experience into that, because fitness is so important during pregnancy. It has so many benefits. It's super important to build on your fitness after you give birth, because it makes sure that your muscles and your joints and everything are still working in the ways that they should. And I think that by continuing that sort of ethos of communal fitness, and this is for everyone, it's totally scalable. It's your workout. It's not our chance to show you how many muscle ups everybody can do. It's your workout. We're here to make sure that you are getting the most out of it. And so that's something that I'd really like to do further down the line, is build out Revival's portfolio of the services that we offer to different groups, because I think it just makes the fitness community more rich. And are helping people, right? Like postpartum women have a lot of trouble with anxiety and depression, and sort of you get a little bit lost after you have a kid and you kind of want a little bit of identity back. And my identity came back the second I hit the gym again. Like this is for me, like this is the thing that I do to make myself feel like myself. So I want to bring a little bit of that experience into bringing other people into the fold and showing people that, like, especially women, like, you've had a kid, like, come in, we can help you get stronger. We can help you maybe fix some of the problems you're having postpartum. It's a good way to just like blow off steam and get away for an hour. So that's something that I'd like to do long-term with, my coaching experience, is bringing those sorts of people into the fold.
Dude,
sorry, that was a really long-winded.
No, that was great. That was great. There's so many things in my head. I was like, so after, when I hit stop my recording, we're going to talk about, I'm going to connect you with a coach that specializes in all of this stuff in Alaska that me and my wife know. Her, shout out Nicole Goss. That's who it is. And be prepared. She's going to send you an avalanche of things that you need to be focusing on, but like very much agree with where you identify a portion of our community, and Revival Fitness is not anything a community of where, hey, so how do we serve this portion of our community? How do we make sure that these people have access to the same kind of things that us three get to experience and enjoy every single day? And how do we tailor that experience to be like, no, it's come in. We have a place for you. This is not, you may see what's on ESPN or the internets and some kind of random ass CrossFit, like, I was going to say a CrossFit meme thing, but I didn't want to throw shade to Watermouth. The idea of where you see shenanigans happening, that's not everything. That's not how all it is. This strength and conditioning methodology that we have, the actual, core of CrossFit, is there's a place for everybody. We can make everything happen and actually improve your quality of life. So I really, really appreciate you understanding. We're going to talk more about this after the fact, but like, I didn't know that was one of your interests and things. And so I got some stuff. I want to help you connect to those connections, because there's going to be some things, there's definitely some space in our community that I think you can help move forward. So Klep, final thoughts for you as far as your coaching journey, where you want to go.
So I want to help out people that don't think that they can do it, essentially. Like, one of the things that made me realize I really wanted to do this was about a year ago, we were watching, because a year ago the CrossFit Games was in like October. And so like leading up to that, there's all those, I'm blasting my obnoxious CrossFit news out to the whole social media that, all of my friends back home and family, here's my PR, here's this, here's that. And my mom sees it all, likes it, and they wanted to come down for my birthday, and it was going on. They wanted to come down like the weekend of the CrossFit Games. And I know not everyone's into it, but I love watching them.
You're into it.
I am into it.
Me too. I carve it out. Like most people are like, hey, don't talk to me on Super Bowl. Like, also, I need 5 days for you don't talk to me.
So I told them, they're like, we'd like to visit you for your birthday. And I was like, you're going to sit on that couch and watch the CrossFit Games with me. And they're like, yeah, I mean, we just want to see you. And so I made them watch it. What's funny is they got into it, and like, but like we had a good time. They loved it, and life went on. And then in March, I